Hey, this is Alex coming from Orlando. So I wanted to make a follow-up video. This is my third video. This is Alex, by the way. And I basically just wanted to, talk a little bit about what's been going right, what's been going wrong, what have I been struggling with, what are my limiting beliefs kind of thing. And hopefully some of you can relate to this. That's really one of the main objectives here is to get some feedback on the video. So so far this month, it's kind of been about doing some job interviews, but not having the job pan out. I did 2 interviews earlier this month, and as I'm thinking about the bigger picture, neither one of these jobs are really what I was looking for, when I thought of, what I was trying to do at the beginning of the year. But it's kind of just been about, trying to find a job, a full-time job. I mean, just to find a full-time job. So I would have been working at a call center at both of these jobs that I didn't get the job for. And I don't know if any of you have ever worked at a call center, but that gets old pretty quick for me. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about like what this year's been like for me. At the beginning of the year, I had seen kind of a couple things that I wanted to do. I wanted to work. I figured, it would either work out where I would be working in the offshore industry again, because that's something I've done before, or I would end up going back to school. I would end up finishing my degree, which is something that it's been like a quest for me. I've been wanting to finish this degree at FSU for years now. I've been there twice and I haven't finished the degree. So I feel like I've kind of been stalling on getting what I've wanted, as far as either one of these 2 things. And what else? I was just thinking, the FSU thing has just been unfinished business for me. That's kind of my main reason for finishing. And I just definitely feel like, earning the degree is going to translate into more money. So I don't really want to be much older. I don't want to be any older and be finishing, school. I'm already going to kind of feel a little awkward going to school with kids that are like, in their teens and 20s. So this thing about me going back to FSU is kind of a long story. I think I alluded to what's going on in my last video, but essentially my latest struggle here is that the school is giving me the 3rd degree over my application. So without getting too long-winded, basically it's like this. It's like I've filled out, like earlier, in my life, I filled out the application twice, and I've been to the school twice and I filled out the application twice. So each of the 2 times that I filled out the application, essentially I lied on the application. I told them that I had never been in any kind of trouble with the law, when that's not really the case. But the long story short of it is that on their application, this is what it is basically. I'm just going to read you the whole question, okay? So on their application it says, have you ever been charged with a violation of the law which resulted in, or if still pending, could result in probation, community service, jail sentence, or the revocation or suspension of your driver's license, including traffic violations which resulted in a fine of $200 or more. You are required to furnish FSU with a list of all violations and must include a statement telling us what you have learned from your past actions. If your records have been expunged pursuant to applicable law, you are not required to answer yes to this question. If you are unsure whether you should answer yes, we strongly suggest you do so and fully disclose all incidents By doing so, you can avoid any risk of disciplinary action or revocation of any offer of admission. If you respond yes to the above question, the university reserves the right to request additional information if the written explanation you provide is not sufficient or leads to further questions. So basically, I had to provide the school with the results of an FDLE background check, which wasn't very flattering, which wasn't at all flattering, even though I've never been convicted of anything. I still hold a passport. I can still vote. It's not like I'm a jailbird or anything like that. I don't want to get way off the subject in this video, but essentially, so now I find myself in this struggle, this like weird situation with the university where I'm just trying to get past this thing with them. So they've initially denied my application. Their judicial review committee has denied my application, even though I've been there twice. I've already been there twice, and I'm 21 hours away from this BS degree in information technology. So you would think on the face of it that this would be a no-brainer to them, that, you know, as I'm not convicted of any of these charges, and I've already got all these hours accrued with their university, that they would just let me in, and they would maybe make this more of like a, you know, I don't know, you tell me what they should do with this, with my situation. But so anyway, so what I'm trying to make the video about, I guess, is, has anybody ever come across a challenge like this? Has anybody ever had a similar situation, like where you've been in an arbitration hearing? I don't know, maybe somebody's had to, maybe somebody has or is having to go through some kind of trial, some kind of, like, you know, appeals process where you stand to, you have something on the line. Either you could lose something, or you could gain something. So that's kind of what I'm making the video about. I'm trying to like relate to some people here in the Power EU group, and I'm trying to get some feedback. Obviously, how can I overcome this challenge? I mean, I think it's a bunch of bullshit. So I think that this whole thing about them basically, well, let me take that back. I think it's a bunch of bullshit because I'm not sure what I'm up against. This could be either like a fox guarding the hen house scenario, or it could be what I've thought about as sort of like a wizard in the Wizard of Oz type scenario, where it's somebody, you know, it's an appeals committee, and what they stand for is sort of like this, you know, wizard behind the curtain. The wizard I'm referring to is the wizard in the Wizard of Oz, like where it's somebody or something that's not as intimidating. In reality, it's not as intimidating as it seems. So anyway, back to my story. So I'm trying to get past the challenge of the university's vetting process, which I think is ridiculous. You know, in my mind, I'm thinking of this as ridiculous. So I have to go up to Tallahassee. I have to go there and present, or essentially as they told me, I get two to 3 minutes to like introduce myself, and then I'm supposed to open it up to questions. And I don't know what their questions are going to be. I've been trying to get to the bottom of that. And so anyway, I'm having to go through this vetting process with the university just to finish my last 21 hours, even though I'm just like, why am I having to go through this vetting process when, you know, I'm not an imminent danger, essentially. They're thinking of this, like, I think they're thinking of this as like anybody, you know, that's got some kind of like charge, you know, that presents to them, you know, is alarming to them, then they should, you know, not let somebody like that in their community, kind of thing. So I mean, I just want to stop there and say, you know, has anybody been through anything like this scenario? Has anybody ever been through this sort of like arbitration or appeals process, and how did you handle it? Is it related to your end game, you know, your bigger picture? Because I know for me, this is a big one. This is like, I want to finish my damn degree and get on with my life. This is like holding me up, you know. I think it's a bunch of bullshit, and I think that it's holding me up, and therefore I've got some like resentment towards the university right now. I've got some like anger, really, if you want to, get to the bottom. If I mean, the truth of the matter is, I feel pissed off at the university right now because they're holding me up at the gate. So, and what the question seeks to do in my mind is weed people out that have been unfairly, you know, um, put through a process, in the court system. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, all of the charges against me, we're talking like years ago, they've all been bogus, bullshit ass charges, and I'm being treated, all of a sudden, I don't like the way our system here in the United States is very, or at least it has been pro law enforcement, pro the prosecutor, if you will. So the long story short of it is I'm being made to feel like I'm an outsider. I'm on the outside looking and having to deal with their appeals process. And that's what I've kind of reflected. I had to submit a statement to them. And I basically wrote in the statement that I think we have a criminal justice system in this country that is very imbalanced. I think that I went on the offensive in the statement. I had to write a 2-page statement, and I told them that there needs to be a lot more accountability as far as the police being held responsible for their actions. And I basically turned the question around on them. I said, their question was something like, have you learned something from your actions, as if everybody answering that question is guilty of something and should say, they were wrong, And so I turned the question around on them, and I said, look, in each and every one of these cases, just about, the police were overzealous and they acted with bad discretion, And I said, they were looking for somebody to arrest, no matter, whether that person, whether I was, guilty or not. And so I just feel like, I'm having to face this situation where it could be either the fox guarding the hen house, where it's not really a fair process, no matter what they say. They're just really trying to just, back themselves up, or it's, they're truly trying to listen to me and hear me out. So, anyway, so I just wanted to get your feedback. I hope I'm not rambling on here. But that's my latest struggle. So I'm trying to go back to school, and I face this weird, situation, or at least that's how it looks to me on the face of it. I'm having to go in front of their appeals committee. Well, their appeals committee is their people. It's their university. I think it's like they said, 2 to 4 students. It's 15 people. It's 15 people on an appeals committee, and it's 2 to 4 students, and then the rest are faculty and staff, made up of people they were picked by the provost office. So if there's anybody out there in the group that's listening, that's that works for a university, I'd love to hear your opinion, especially, or anybody in the legal field. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this video. And yeah, I'll just end it here, and I look forward to seeing what you guys have to say. Okay. Thanks for listening, and yeah, this is Alex from Orlando.